the roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go. Bring me down. Can't none bring me down. Your love is too high. They bring me down. Can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down. Can't none.
Good evening, everyone. Just give me a minute and I will share my screen. Till then, there's a question on the chat window. Please go to the chat window and please tell us your name, where you are from, and one word with which you are actually entering this space that captures your entire day. I hope my screen is visible to all of us. Yeah. Okay. With that, I'll just quickly introduce myself. I'm Vani and I'll be going to be the host for the evening. And we are here for a webinar. I'll introduce the webinar and the speaker in a minute. But before we get started, please go on to the chat window and tell us where you are from which city you are, and what's your name, and a word that perfectly captures your current vibe or feeling, or maybe describes your day. Thanks, Preeti ma'am, for starting us. Preeti ma'am is here. She's from Mumbai. She's feeling very hot. I can see Sophia ma'am also responding. Um, Thank you, Sophia ma'am. She's also from Mumbai. Thanks, Abhijit. Abhijit is from Bangalore and he's very, very happy. I am also seeing a lot of responses in the chat. Keep responding in the chat. And I'll just move forward. So, to make this experience most productive, I'll just quickly walk you through some of the features on the Zoom so that you can use them while during the session and make it more productive for yourself. So, the first is the unmute button. You can actually click it on this mic button to unmute yourself. Just use this feature when speaker asks you to do so. When he asks you to reply to his questions, you can for sure go ahead and do this. The second button is the video button. You can click onto the video button to switch on your video. In case your bandwidth doesn't allow to keep your video on, that's also completely okay. Third, you can see the chat button on the extreme right side. You can click onto the chat button to put in your thoughts, insight, questions, wherever you like during the webinar. Just quickly also walking you through over the norms of the session that we are going to follow while we are in this webinar. So the first one is we request you to keep your cameras on for interactive interaction. Second, to avoid any kind of disturbance, please keep your mics off until and unless speaker asks you to unmute. Then please use the chat window, or maybe you can raise the hand also. If you have a burning question in the middle of the webinar and you want to ask, please do raise hand. You can use the emoji feature that is there, the reaction feature, and you can raise hands through that. Then please participate enthusiastically in the session because the session is for you. Ask as many as questions, put in your thoughts, insight as much as you want to. Take notes to capture your learning if you want to. Last but not the least, keep it like a safe space. The session is for us, so maybe we just keep it as a safe space. Moving on, welcome to the webinar, Reimagining Education Through the Nook Model. And today we have a very special person who is going to do this webinar for us. We have Abhijit with us. I'll quickly introduce Abhijit. So Abhijit is the founder and CEO of Project Defy, where he works at the intersection of community-led learning, decentralization, and education systems. Through years of experimentation, he has pioneered the concept of Nooks, alternative teacher-free learning spaces that enables communities and young people to design education for themselves. Abhijit is part of several global social impact fellowships, including the Acumen India Fellowship, and currently mentors early stage social entrepreneurs through Mercedes-Benz V Visionary Fellowship. And today, Abhijit is going to talk about this whole concept of Nook and how he leverages it to make community as a safe learning environment. So, with that, I'll just quickly hand it over to Abhijit. Um, Abhijit, putting you on the stage right now and really looking forward for the learning experience that you create for our learners.
Thank you. Yeah, very excited to be here. Thank you for all of you who have joined. Um, yeah, there's about 50 or 60 people on the call, and I can't see most faces, so it is always a bit strange. I can only see my face and Vani and Chandana. So if you can, from time to time, turn on your cameras. It will be, there you go. Some cameras are turning on. Nice. It's a lot easier to talk. Um, oh yeah. Uh, of all the rules that Vani said, there's just one more from my end. You can completely skip sir. You can call me by my name, as Abhi or Abhijit. There is no need to use sir, at all. Yeah, you can skip it. Okay, cool. Let's begin. Hmm. All right. It's always a little strange to talk about the Nook, so I start from a little bit ago, from when I was a child. So I grew up in Bombay, in Mumbai, and I my parents were, very typical middle class people. My dad was in a government public sector company. My mom was a housewife. I grew up in Chembur. For those of you who are familiar with Bombay. And as a kid, in our house, we didn't really have any toys. Uh, I think somebody's unmuted. Yeah. Okay. Is the YouTube giving back feedback or something? All right. So we didn't really have any toys at home at all, or at least when I was a kid, there were no toys. So the everything became a toy for me. For me, my toys were the pressure cookers, the and my mom's spoons and the briefcases, and I would take masalas from the kitchen and wind wires together, put batteries on them, and sometimes I would even do dangerous things. I would take old medicines from the cabinet. I would take the deo and the spray. I would mix them all kind of together. When my mom would be sleeping, I would take it to the balcony and set it on fire just to see what is the color of the flame that shows up. So this is how I was playing. I did not I grew up playing with just things that were in the house. So everything felt like a toy until I think I was maybe 12 or 13 years of age. And I went to a friend's house and he showed me all of these Hot Wheels and planes and, specific things he had. And, uh, and I realized, wow, people actually buy these kind of things to play with. I had never bought anything to play with. Everything I was playing with was just available all around. Um, and then as I was growing older, and I started spending more and more time with my friends. I wanted to sometimes go out, sometimes spend some time with them. And whenever I would try to ask my parents for permission to let me go hang out with my friends, 9 out of 10 times they would say the same thing. They would always say, Abhijit, we understand you want to hang out, you want to play and all of that, but you know what? Now is not a good time. This is the time for you to study, you know. So just spend these years, study well, and then one day when you have a job, then you don't have to worry. You have all the freedom in the world. You do whatever you want. So, and I believed it. I really, really believed it. I took that. As I got closer and closer towards the eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, I started having lesser and lesser fun, and more and more time was spent just in my room studying. And I got very good grades. I got into, pretty good university. I finished the university. I finally got a job, and that's how I came to Bangalore. I did computer science engineering. I got a software company job, and it brought me to Bangalore. Everybody celebrated. Everybody, all of my friends. I even took them out for a very expensive lunch, more expensive than my first salary, and uh, and we were also happy. We were not just celebrating the fact that I got a job. We were kind of celebrating this possibility that I will now have freedom. After all these years, finally that day has come that I will be free, I will be happy, I can do whatever I want, and all the all the preparation for was all for this day. And I walked into my office. Quite a nice looking place, nice carpets, colorful furniture, bean bags. Uh, I walked inside. It was afternoon. I remember it was very typical Bangalore, cloudy weather. Um, so the moment I walked inside, everybody kind of turned around to look at me, as you would for any new person comes into your office. So they turned around and they're smiling at me, and trying to welcome me into this space. But it almost very quickly feels that they're not smiling genuinely. It's not really that they are happy. It's just this weird kind of smile. But I didn't pay too much attention. I thought, hey, I'm lucky to have a job. So let me go inside and start working. And I worked and I showed up every day. Every morning would be the same story. My colleagues, my people in my team, they were kind of like 1 or 2 years older to me, so they had been working there for some time. And they would come, they would sit on the chair, and then go back and then turn the chair around 180 degrees to face me instead of the computer. And they would always say the same thing, like, Abhijit, you know, I'm so sick of this. I don't want to do this job. It's good money and everything, but it's not what I'm passionate about. I want to do what I really like. I want to pursue music or I want to do something else. So every morning people complained a little bit about not doing what they really want to. And then by the time it would be evening, our manager would take us out for drinks. By the time it would be the weekend, there would be a party. By the time it's the end of the month, there's a gift. By the time it's the end of 3 months, there's a retreat. And end of 6 months, there's a foreign trip. And every complaint would be forgotten the same day, only to be remembered the next day. And then this cycle would continue. So I watched for 6 months. Nobody left. They just kept saying they would leave, but nobody left. And I got really, really worried. I got really scared. I thought that this is where my life is going. In a couple of years, I will hate my job and I will still keep doing it, and keep complaining every single day. And I got so scared that within an hour, I wrote my, you know, I wrote my resignation letter. I went to my boss, director, and I told him that, hey, I'm leaving, and uh, yeah, I'm not coming back. I need to be out. And he asked me, so what are you going to do? What's your next job? And I'm like, there is no next job. I don't know. I'm just leaving, and we will worry about everything else later. Um, that same evening, it was the next evening actually, it was New Year's night. I told my parents, and same question, and then a lot of anger and frustration, and then and then just they stopped talking to me for some time, and so on. So that's what happened. But surprisingly enough, while all of this was going on, while my current life was dying, I was meeting completely new set of people. I was meeting people who were not from computer science, from engineering, from software development. When you're unemployed and you're walking around on the streets on Monday morning or Tuesday morning, you start meeting people who are artists and musicians, or who are building new things or trying new things. So I met many such people, and they took me to meet another person, and then another person, and another person, and uh, I found this guy who says, "Okay, we are going to move into a village outside of Bangalore tomorrow." You know, so tomorrow we are moving. There's a truck coming. It's gonna pick up all this stuff. If you wanna move with us, you are welcome. Just get inside the truck. So the next morning, I was in the truck without even knowing where we were going. But I left the city and I started living in this very small village called Banjarapalya outside of the city of Bangalore, just about 40-45 kilometers off Kanakpura Road. So that's where I started living. These guys were setting up a farmhouse. They were gonna train kids who had studied computer science but did not know any programming from all over India. They would come and stay there, and I was supposed to help them, but I didn't do very much of that. But they still let me stay there, and they gave me, food and a place to stay and so on. And while I was there is when I, you know, I finally started being completely free, no agenda for my day. I have no goals, nobody to satisfy, just free. Like you wake up in the morning and then you can decide, what do I want to do today? Um, and that's when I created this routine where every afternoon I would go and sit at the one tea shop that was there in the village, and it would be around 3:30. I would go there. I would sit at the tea shop. I would be having my tea and playing Temple Run on my phone. And around the same time, there was a government school right next door, and the kids would get out of school around the same time as I was sitting there and having tea. So these kids would be hanging out they would be around at the same tea shop, and they would watch me play. I started having an audience. They didn't talk to me, I didn't talk to them. We didn't have a language in common, but they watched. And every day I had like 14, 15 kids behind my back watching me play Temple Run. Until one day that one of those kids puts his hand forward, basically asking for my phone. Um, and I knew that nobody really, this is like 11 years ago, 12 years ago, nobody really knew in that village. There were no smartphones at that time in this place. There was not even computers being taught to these kids. And I'm like, should I really give him the phone? Maybe what if he breaks it? And it was an iPhone, and I had this, gotten it as an award. I really did not want to give it to him. But I thought, okay, let me give it to him, and then, I'll take it back in 5 minutes. He'll get bored very quickly. He'll not know what to do with it. So I gave it to him. The moment I give my phone to this kid, he ran away with it. He ran and ran and ran and ran and ran. And then he met with his friends, and they were in like a circle. So he and the phone and the friends kind of like disappeared in this circle. And I was like, okay, fine. I will wait. It should come back soon. And I keep waiting. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, almost 20 minutes I waited. And then I got worried and I decided, okay, no, I need to go and see what they're doing with my phone. And I peep inside their circle. to see, hey, what's happening? The phone is not with this kid anymore. The phone is with the fourth person in the circle. And they're playing Temple Run as if they've always played Temple Run. Like they know how to play this, like from the day they were born. In the next 2 weeks, they broke all my high scores. They set up such high scores. I stopped playing the game. I couldn't beat them anymore. But I was very intrigued. I thought that I will have to show them how to use the phone. Somebody has to teach them how to use these things, how, it's digital and all of that. And these kids, they don't even speak English, and my phone is in English, and I don't know how are they gonna, but they managed it. So I thought I'll do an experiment, and you know, I kind of invited these kids to come to the place where I was staying. There was a hall, and I asked my friends at that, around that, hey, can you borrow me your laptops for one evening? I want to try something. And I set up 5 laptops on like 5 tables, turned them on, connected them to the internet. I left them like that, and invited the kids. And I put my back towards the laptop. So I was not watching. I just put my laptop on and I was playing games. And that's all I was doing. And these kids come, they first wait for some instructions. Um, they're hoping I will tell them what to do. I tell him nothing. I'm just playing games on my laptop. So they are patient for about 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then they run towards the laptops, and then they start doing whatever they're doing. The promise I made to myself is I will not look. I will not interfere. I will not try to teach. I will not try to explain anything. Let them do what they're doing. And I sat just playing games for the next 2 hours. Every few minutes there would be somebody on my shoulder. I could feel their breath. Then they would watch what I'm doing. They would go back, talk amongst themselves, and they would get there would be all these noises, and then they would tap the keyboard really hard. And then just there was just chaos for a good 2.5 hours chaos. And then suddenly there was silence, the people started being quiet. And my heart sank. I thought something went wrong. These kids, why are they quiet? Did they break something? So I turn around to see um, what's happening with these laptops. All the kids are sitting nicely, two kids per laptop, sitting and playing boxing and car racing and all kinds of stuff. And they're none of these games are actually on the laptops. They're playing these games on a browser, on the internet. Somehow they have figured this out, and they are now quite busy. And this went on for a couple of days too. And then I really, really got excited, and I thought, wow, this is completely breaking my notions. Like I have been told that for a child to learn something, you have to teach it to the child. And these kids are kind of teaching themselves quite a lot. Even these things that we make such a big deal about, internet, the computers, digital skills, so on. It took them 3 hours to get onto a game. So I started doing more and more. I had a whole bunch of tools. I took them out. I put the hammers and hacksaws and stuff on the wall. I showed them YouTube a little bit. And then every morning we would like sit in a circle together, or sometimes in the evening. The time didn't matter. And in the circle, we would decide, okay, what do we want to do today? And everybody has the same voice. We just get to decide together. And sometimes we made a ball throwing machine. Sometimes we put LEDs on saris, and went around walking in the village with blinking lights on our bodies late at night. We did all kinds of weird stuff, and these kids just started coming more and more and more, and they started loving it so much. They started loving it so much that they started calling other people. They started calling their elder brothers and sisters and their uncles and aunties and their parents. Even their grandparents started showing up. And we started having like 60, 70 people come to this space that did not even have a name. It was kind of like a nameless space. These guys would show up at different points of the day. I didn't even know, how do you handle 70, 80 people? We just have one screwdriver, one hammer. And how do you get all of these people to agree to do one thing? So these kids found the way. They, instead of trying to make everybody agree, we would split, we would actually be smaller circles, small groups of people, get together, decide, and then go ahead and create something or fix something or build something or watch something, or but completely decide for themselves how they were going to spend their time. And the space became so popular that people started visiting us from all over, to come and look at the space. And mind you, we didn't have any money. So the way we were able to build the, ball throwing machine or anything was because we were going and picking up the trash from the community. We would take the things that they were throwing away, we would bring it over, clean it, and then keep it in the space. And everybody just had this habit. Like if the kids saw something on the ground, the something thrown away, they would pick it, bring it, clean it, put it in the space. So we would have all these materials worth quite a lot very quickly inside our space, and then, I mean, it was almost a year, and I decided that, wow, this is quite interesting. I don't know why it works, but it seems to be a fantastic learning space. People just come together, they decide what they want to learn, and they just learn. There is no barriers. I'm not doing any exams to test their learning. There is no curriculum that is offered here, but still they seem to be learning quite well. So maybe it is that they are special, or maybe that I am special. I have done something that is unique. So I thought, okay, let me go away for some time and see if this is still working. Is it still something that people continue to do? So I leave, and I packed my bags. I left for Meghalaya, went to this very remote place in the state, and with no cell phone connection, nothing, for a good 3 months. And after that, I come back to Bangalore. I'm very curious what happened to this space. Is it still there? Did people steal everything, or did everything break down? Or, maybe somebody else is, like, I don't know, some political party is using that space. I was very curious to know what happened. I came back. Um, the space was not in the same place where before. They had moved it to a different place, because yeah, we didn't have access to that hall afterwards. And in this new place, there was I went inside. I tried to get inside, but it was packed. There was just too many people, um, young people, older people, all kinds of ages, lots of people that I didn't know. And I walked inside, and then one person who knew me found me, and he's like, "Hey, Abhijit, welcome back." And then he stopped everybody and he told them that, "Hey, I am the one who started that space." And all these people in there were like, "Yeah, yeah, okay, good, welcome back." And then they continued with their work. They did not pay too much attention to me. So this was the sort of final thing that I felt, wow, this is actually their own learning space. They are completely in control of this place. They don't even need to know who created it, who runs. It's they who run it. They make all the decisions. They are managing entirely their whole learning. They did not steal anything. There was, in fact, more things in that space than before. The community was taking care of that space. They were putting things into the space, not stealing it away. Things that broke down, they went ahead and fixed them. They did not, broken things did not just remain broken. Um, and I realized that, wow, this is quite a useful kind of a way to learn. And then I decided that, okay, maybe I need to understand why it happens, why it works. And then I found that actually a lot of people have talked um, about education in a way that learners can create it, not necessarily teachers or systems, or, that learners are capable of deciding what they learn and how they learn. That this is not unbelievable. In fact, there are schools in the world, schools, as even 100-year-old schools, where the students are deciding everything. They are the ones who are deciding what they are learning, who they are learning from, what matters to them. The only thing that was not happening is that this was not happening in poor communities. It was only happening in the most rich communities which could afford fancy alternative schools. There they could trust the children, but if it was low income communities, nobody trusted the children. Nobody trusted them to, decide for them what they learn. Forget children; they didn't even trust the adults. So I decided to then create an organization, this Project Defy, and to really solidify this model. And the only way to do that was to try it in another place. So we got invited to create a similar space in Uganda, in a refugee camp there, and it worked beautifully. And then we tried the next place, and it worked beautifully again. And we started calling it Nooks, like a corner, but actually taking it from the word Nooka, because this space felt like you could be yourself. You did not have to pretend to be somebody else. You could really fully be yourself. You could express yourself to the fullest, and you were not competing here. Unlike in the school, you were actually being in this environment, knowing and fully trusting that everybody around you cares about you and wants you to succeed and is supporting you to learn. There was no teacher. Even to this date, there are 33 Nooks in the world. Most of them are in India, some of them are in Africa. There's one Nook in Switzerland. And these Nooks don't have teachers. They don't have any curriculum. They don't have, obviously, any exam. Um, they are entirely led by the learners themselves, all the decisions around their own learning. And of course, we have come a long way. The model of the Nook is much more structured. We can create it much more predictably. But everywhere we went, the Nook worked the same way. Um, people always wanted to do something. They always cared about something that they wanted to achieve. And it only took a little bit of effort to make them all trust each other and trust that space and believe that, yeah, the person sitting next to me is not trying to get higher marks than me or defeat me or, be better than me, is actually there to help me and support my learning journey. So that's the story about the Nook and what we do. We create these learning spaces in different parts of the world. Um, and we really try to challenge the educational narrative. What do we believe education to be? What is its purpose? Who is a learner? What is the role of an adult? Um, how do we see a child? All of these questions are not obvious to us. These are questions that we are asking every single day. And we realize that the world does not have good answers to it yet. Most of the mainstream systems treat children as future economic assets that one day will produce money for the world, as opposed to treating them as complete human beings that have rights, that care about things, that get bothered by things, that believe in things. So the it's more than just creating spaces. It's also changing what the world believes about learning. What do we think a school is supposed to do? And then um, where and what is the role of community? Is it that the role of the community is to be left behind, or is it that it is a part of your learning journey that supports your learning experience? I'll stop here. I've spoken straight for 30 minutes. Uh, Maybe you have some questions or some comments or some frustrations, whatever that is. Would be a good time to listen to you a little bit. Yeah.
Dear participants, if you have any questions or even insights or any thoughts you want to share with Abhijit right now after listening to him, you can come off mute also and share. You can also go to the chat window and put in your thoughts if you want. Yeah, here, take 2 minutes to put it down. Or maybe if you want to just come off mute and share, that's also completely up. And if you even want to ask questions about Nook, what is happening right now, anything related to that, Abhijit is going to answer. So you can ask that as well.
What type of learning was happening in the Nook? I'm assuming you're thinking about subjects. Is that what you mean? What type of all kinds of learning. Nooks are very unpredictable. Um, I've been to Nooks where on one corner somebody's building a drone, and in the other side they are practicing dance, and on the third side they are making poetry, and on the fourth side something else is happening. So there is no limitation to what kind of learning happens in the Nook. All types of learning. Also, if you're talking about pedagogy, the Nook is not restrictive. Some people are learning something just by trial and error. Somebody else is watching videos. Somebody else has actually found a teacher to teach them something. Somebody else went to their grandmother and asked a lot of questions and came back with answers. Somebody else is now sitting with the local carpenter and watching him do his thing and then learning from it. So there are all kinds of ways, but we are asking the learner to make these decisions, come up with these ideas themselves. You know, um, yeah. So I'll tell you a little bit about how the Nook works. The Nook works. I think it'll answer the next two questions. The Nook. Imagine the Nook to be a physical space, like a house. Sometimes very small, like 400 square feet. Sometimes big, 5,000 square feet. It has some basic furniture. It has a lot of tools and stuff for making things or breaking things. It has instruments, sometimes guitars and stuff like that. It has uh, very basic furniture, but no benches that, we don't ask people to sit behind each other. There's usually like circular tables or chairs made of tires and really like a nice, vibrant space. It has always some laptops and a good internet connection. So that is always also there. And there are two facilitators in every Nook. We call them Nook Fellows. They are young people, between 18 to 25, 26 years of age. Usually, they are not trained teachers at all. They don't come and do any sessions, any classes, any trainings. They are themselves on their own learning journey, but they're trained by us to bring people together to talk to each other and to sit together and uh, be okay with some discomfort in a conversation. So that's what their role is. um, there are some basic resources, as I said, inside the Nook. There's also a small amount of money, like 20,000 rupees or so every month, that the learners decide how they want to spend. They can spend it on buying things for their projects. They can spend it on traveling somewhere together. They can spend it on procuring a course or a tool. Anything they want, it's their choice. So the resources of every Nook looks different because every Nook, the decisions that they are making is different. The things that they're learning is different. So these things start looking quite different one from another. And so every Nook is very unique, but they all follow the same value system. So no matter which Nook you went to, if you ask them what's the best thing you find about this place, you'll always get the same answer, that it's the freedom. People trust me and they respect me, even sometimes when they believe that they're not worthy of that respect or that trust. Many times when they have been punished a lot by their parents or by their teachers or by the school, then they lose a lot of their sense of worth, and they are very surprised that they get respected in the work. So yeah, that's the general sense of what it looks like. Uh, are students collaborating after school timings? Yeah. There are many learners who come, they go to school, then they come to the Nook. We don't ask them to leave school or anything, but there are a lot of dropouts also who come to the Nook. There are also a lot of adults who are coming to the Nook. They are not, some of them went to school, some of them did not go to school ever. So there's all kinds of people who come to the Nook. Um, the more schooled they already are, the more challenging they find to trust themselves and their own ideas. So if you spent a lot of time at the school, it will take some time to be able to trust your decisions. So lots of questions. Okay, how can we integrate Nook with different subjects in our learning space or classroom? It's very hard. I tried. It's really hard. You see, it's Nook is not just a pedagogy or a learning system. Nook is a political belief in some sense. You know, the belief is that the child will make the decisions, right? So if you want to integrate Nook into your subjects, ask yourself, can you trust the child inside the school to make the decisions? If you can, then the Nook can be integrated. If not, then no matter what we do, it'll just look like we brought some tools and materials and some frameworks, but it won't happen. All right. So trusting the learner, making them collaborate, not compete, right? The way you succeed in a school is by coming first, by defeating everyone. The way you succeed in the Nook is by asking for help and offering help. It's opposite. And when we tried to create two Nooks inside schools, everybody loved it, but we hated it. We saw how less it was able to achieve compared to Nooks that are completely outside the school, independent spaces. So, um, so I think, yeah, it is hard. Like asking the Nook to integrate with the school is like asking feminism to integrate with patriarchy. Very weird. Right? But it is, but it is not that we have not tried. We have also tried. Yeah. How do students sustain long-term interest? Yeah, I think that question is for the school. I mean, the Nook, you are doing things that you like, right? You always have something you want to do. It's like it's called life, right? You're always chasing, doing something. They don't have to sustain interest in anything that they don't want. They have to do that inside the school, but they don't have to do that here. So actually, that is not so difficult, and they're free to leave whenever they want. The Nook is a non-graduating space. It's a lifelong learning environment, which means if you want, you can leave anytime you like. You can come back whenever you feel you're ready again, and then you can leave again and you can come back again. You can use this space whenever you feel it is right for you to use it in your life. There is no forcing for you to spend time in the Nook. If you're not enjoying your time right now, if you feel life is taking you somewhere else, it's perfectly okay. You know. Are there any fixed timings? The learners decide the timings of the Nook. They decide how the space will be cleaned and how it will be kept and where when to buy like all of these decisions are made by them. They also make all the governance decisions. How will they resolve conflicts? What will they do if they lose something? You know. So the answer is different for every Nook. The timings are different for different Nooks. There are Nooks that are open till very late in the night. There are Nooks that close very early. They are trying to be as inclusive as possible for the learners who are coming there. Where do you have these centers? In which state? We have a couple in close to Bangalore, inside Bangalore and around Bangalore. We have one near Chennai. We have one near Jaipur. There's one in Pune. There's 22 in Meghalaya, then lots of different places. Um, there's one in Rwanda, two in Zimbabwe, one in near Zurich in Switzerland. It's scattered. You can see there is no pattern. And the reason there is no pattern is because the Nook is created wherever people invite it to be. We never select a place to go and take the Nook to. If somebody is inviting us and saying, hey, come and create the Nook here, then we collaborate with them and co-create the Nook. And that's how Nooks come up. How do you ensure safety of students? Yes, policies, registration process. No, there there are frameworks for people to join the space. There's processes for that. There's a complete safety policy, child protection policies. All of these things are there. They're also, but what is different is these policies are not just given to people. They're actually asked to think about them. They're actually asked to debate them, question them. Um, I can challenge you to find something like that very rarely would you see a school that tells the students, hey, come and question the rules, question these policies, ask and debate, right? So actually there's not only safeguarding principles and processes, but every single person is involved in it. They are not just recipients of the safeguarding. Um, they are actually the ones who create that safe environment, right? They're not just receiving that safe environment. Who approves these decisions of selection? Um, in the beginning, it is the Nook fellows. Eventually, once the Nook becomes a little bit older, then there are several learners who are participating. But really, the decision is not that somebody cannot come to the Nook. Most people who show up to the Nook are welcome to join. So it's not like, okay, you don't get to join and he gets to join. No, the only question that is asked is, do you have time? If they have time, then they're welcome. If they don't have time, then now is not the right time to be in the Nook. Maybe they can come back again later. There won't be any knowledge gaining proof for these people. Oh, you mean certificates? Yeah, there is not. You're right. But I think it is becoming very evident that a certificate is not a knowledge gaining proof either. One thing which is very interesting, and people ask these questions a lot of times, is that without certificates, how will they make money? How will they have a job and all of these things? Whereas you see that many Nook learners start earning within like 1.5 years of being in the Nook, even if they're like 14 years of age. Now, why does that happen? This is very interesting. They are not getting any certificates. So obviously they can't apply for many regular kind of jobs, but they're creating things inside the Nook and they're constantly showing what they create to the rest of the world, to people around them, to people in their community. Entrepreneurship is not taught to them. It comes naturally. When they're showing their work to people, they start asking them for, hey, can I buy this? Could you make this for me? Could you make this in pink color for my daughter or whatever? So they are constantly experiencing this interaction with the surrounding world and are not put in a bubble where it is, hey, just forget about everything else, only study and learn. So many of them start making an income, small amounts of money, but very, very early on. They're not so rejected by the idea of not having a certificate. I mean, it bothers them sometimes, but at the same time, they can see that there are a lot of people with certificates and they don't have a job also. So the question becomes that, hey, how, if I'm not going to be given a job, can I create one for myself? And the funny thing about education is that the if you have a certificate but you don't trust your skills and you don't know how to just go and make to sell something, to add value to someone, all you know is how to apply for a job, then if you don't get a job, you are in a very bad situation. You have to just keep waiting. You have to keep applying. On the other hand, if you don't have a certificate, but you know how to create value for somebody else, you can build something with your own hands. You can take something to people that they find valuable and are willing to pay for. Then even without the certificate, even without a regular job, you will survive and you will sustain yourself. So we are counting more on this, and maybe at some point in the future, certificates will open up to change from somebody validating your knowledge to instead becoming something like a portfolio where people can see the kinds of things you have done, not just the approval or the stamp that you know these things. So, yeah. Is it free? How can collaborate to start? Yeah, usually it starts with the conversation. People write to us, we talk to them. They tell us why they think the Nook is a good idea for their community. When we ask them a lot of questions, we ask them to go and ask the community if they really want it. So there's a process, but yes, it's literally anybody can reach out. And actually, a lot of people reach out to us for Nooks. On an average, we get 1 to 2 requests a month. Um, and it's been a little bit hard because every time for a Nook, we have to look for funding, to look for partners, it's a lot of effort. But now we are trying to simplify. We are trying to go from finding funding for every single Nook to actually working with people who want to create Nooks slowly with their own community, with the resources that the community already has. Just the same way that I created the first Nook, you know. So maybe it's possible that we don't have to always have the government or a donor or somebody always funding things. We can start with the community and not wait for anybody else. So this is something we're trying now for the next generation of Nooks. Oh, that's a long one. We're saying creativity. Yeah. Thank you. Tell me, how can we join the Nook? Yeah, I mean, you're welcome to any Nook that exists. You're also welcome to try and create Nooks. We'd be happy to help you and support you. And maybe for some of you, that is not a possible reality yet. Maybe you're working inside schools, you're working inside more limiting learning spaces, and that's okay. But you can have these conversations, you can talk, and you can ask these questions. And it's really amazing. Just for one day, ask the kids, like, hey, what do you really want to do? Like, how should we spend this hour? You know, these small acts of revolution can finally, maybe force the system to change. But we have to ask these hard questions. I think that is very important. Um, Sometimes even more important than creating the learning spaces. Behavioral aspect of children, which helps them in schools and society they live in. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, especially for girls, as Nook is all about freedom. Would they become comfortable? Yes, this is a difficult question because now, see, for example, when people start actually experiencing freedom, they start becoming confident. Do you think you will fit better in society or not? If you start asking a lot of questions, do you think that is then you will fit better in school? No, it will be the opposite. You'll have a lot of trouble. And we see this. Many of the learners very quickly come and tell me, like, hey, but I was asking the same question there, and then they got angry, and somebody, like, so whacked me on my back with a ruler. And so, yeah, there is a lot of behavior change happening, but the people around them in the schools, at home, sometimes it's hard for them to digest that. They have not seen them or imagined them as people who have agency. We all talk about agency, but we don't actually like it sometimes when people have agency. So, forget about everything else. In the Nook, everybody calls me by my name as Abhijit. No, sir, no, bhaiya, no, nothing. Abhijit. No matter how old or how young the person is, we use the name. And when sometimes a parent or somebody else visits, they get shocked. They're like, what, why, how can this be? They're so disrespectful. But they're not being disrespectful, they are being equal. There's not Being equal is not being disrespectful, and there is no guarantee that you're being respectful by using the word sir. So, so they're using name, they're removing the barriers, they're being vulnerable with each other. When they don't call me sir, they can tell me exactly how they're feeling without filtering it. But the moment they have to call me sir, they can't tell me a lot of things then. So, yes, it is. A lot of the learners who are coming to the Nook are challenging their realities, and therefore fitting in gets harder, but they also build the confidence to create a world around them that they want, that they care about. and they stop trying to fit in too much. I think we need that a little bit. Okay, I think that's all the questions. I didn't miss anything, hopefully. Whew, okay. Thank you so much. Those are amazing questions. Really nice. And hopefully someday you come to visit Anoop as well. Mani, yeah.
Okay, we have one more question on the chat for you, Abhijit. You can tell us how can they contact you? Maybe either through your email ID or where they can write. Yeah, Abhijit has already put down. So if you are interested in the whole concept of the no, or you want to collaborate, or if you want to like be a part of Nook or even visit the Nook and see how it works in the actual life, you can write on this email ID that Abhijit has shared. With that, I think I just quickly move on to thanking our dear audience first because I really loved how this webinar actually became as a dynamic conversation where we started off where Abhijit just started off saying things and talking about the whole concept, how it evolved. But I really liked how our dear audience came up with so many questions, how curious they were to know about what is happening, how is it running, all these questions that were there. And I think with that, I also want to thank Abhijit, how he has put down his thoughts, how he has shared his insights. I think I was mind blown to certain things where he, in fact, challenged my current mindset about education. We often forget to ask questions. We follow things. But I think from this webinar, me personally, I'm taking this that no matter what, we need to ask questions wherever you are. So, Abhijit, with that, I think really, really thank you for making this space as a dynamic conversation, not being too formal, but at the same time making it more user interactive or participant interactive. Thank you so much, Abhijit. With that, I think we are exactly at the time. We hoped it would end by 6, and we are at that. You can take 2 to 3 minutes to fill the feedback form. Write how did you like the webinar? Give feedback for Abhijit as well as for the 50 team so that we can plan more of such webinars in the future. Um, Requesting Navya, if you can share the feedback link. Just okay, we have a request that if we can take a quick picture as well. I would definitely would want to do that. If people can show their faces, I would for sure take pictures. Not a problem. Go ahead and like take 2 minutes to switch on your video. I could see some of the faces right now on the screen. Um, Yeah, waiting for 1 more minute for the folks to switch on their video. Yeah, and one more to go. I think that's exactly the power of conversation where people ask, can we take a picture? Can we do this? Thank you, dear participants, for joining us. The feedback form link is in the chat. You will also receive an email with all the resources and the links in like few minutes. So just fill the feedback form, leave us with the feedback, and thank you so much, Abhijit, for doing this. Um, Hopefully, you'll we have more nooks in India and like globally as well. Really intrigued by the idea of Nook. Thank you for joining, folks.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care.
Bye bye. Have a good evening.